mean, the only happiness black man gets, is death, according to August Wilson.
Well, isn't he quite accurate with that?
Yeah.
At least from the shackles.
Is that black pill enough, BTS?
He is, but he also wants people to note that those men did exist and that they were more than just their labor and their death.
Yeah,
he gets called. He gets pulled a lot on it, but he described the area that he lived in and what he saw. I mean, he's a mixed race man, but he grew up in Black Pittsburgh at a time where Black Pittsburgh was, relatively thriving after World War II.
Yeah,
so that's what he saw.
But the thing is that all black men that August Wilson writes are flawed characters. If you look at all the men, they're all flawed. Okay, Bono, him, Troy, the two sons. Okay,
yeah, of course.
Couple ex-cons.
Yeah. They tried to make the best out of what they could get. And basically he told him, I want you to be better than me. Okay, I want you. I do right by you. He was trying to tell his son that he loved him. Like has nothing to do with it. And even Rose, after Troy died, after she took on the baby, what did she say? She said she told her son the same thing that Troy told him. Okay, that she's a blessing. If Lord lets me live, I'm gonna try to do right by this child. Like ain't got nothing to do with it.
Huh?
Yeah. It's interesting to me to just, to see how black men can be the floor.
Yeah.
Everybody else to stand on. And yet you have people that do not know how to even see it, let alone pay due respect for that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Especially that's that generation that did 30, 40 years working at one place, doing one thing. And it wasn't anything that brought them joy. It was just work.
Yeah.
It was duty.
Duty.
And what did Kevin say about a marriage? Okay. Duty, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I think in the where we're at right now in this country economically, we're going, I think we're really going back close to something like that. But obviously, in my opinion, it's just going to be more dysfunctional and more people are going to be left behind because they don't even understand the dynamics that they're in right now. Personally.
And nobody notices the floor until they fall through it.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you curse the floor.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, because I've had black women, especially those who graduate. I even had an ex, she got 2 masters now, I believe, married, all that stuff. But even we got in a conversation this years ago. Even she said, well, all her education, it didn't matter. She's like, regardless, black men, there's no excuse. Black men should still win, regardless. I'm paraphrasing her. Like regardless of all the obstacles, regardless of all the crap black women do, as far as she was concerned, it didn't matter. So that was one of my last wake up calls, and that's why I tell guys, like, I don't know how y'all got patience for a lot of these women because they don't care. They really don't care.
No, your duty is your duty.
Yeah. Yep.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But they have a warped understanding of it because they want duty from the very first date. They want you to protect and provide from the first date, and they have no idea that was always an exchange of resources. So they no longer want to participate in the exchange. You're just supposed to give. Yeah. You're supposed to give this, but the importance of it is you got to give it from the moment you meet them until divorce or death or whatever. This is how they imagine a man's purpose. Yeah. And it's such a flawed framework.
Yeah. Look how Rose described Troy, right? When she first met him. All the things that he could give her. A child, sex, a house she could sing in. Okay. What y'all doing, man?
Hey, Dr. T. Dr. T,
Yeah.
do you remember you had posted a video like 2 years ago where a woman was complaining on Facebook, why don't black men work to death and leave everything to the wife? She was complaining about it. Do you remember that video? You did a video on it like 2 years ago.
Vaguely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's it. That shows you how far removed they are from reality about a man's role, because they're not learning it from their mothers. They're just imagining what it means based off of surface level kind of exchanges about marriage and relationships. So their expectations are flawed and problematic. And like I said, they come at men on the first date. That's why the Cheesecake Factory chick is hitting so many people right now, because her expectations started at the first date.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to be rescinded. She was not going to bend, and she didn't bend until he pointed out how many times she fumbled. And in this case, Troy did fumble, but she was not a perfect person. It's a weird dynamic. But I think PJ spoke to. I just real quick.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
That there's you spoke to how like a lot of these women are willing to share a man when they know that it'll keep this community stable, and I've seen that in my own family.
Mm-hmm.
When a woman loses her husband, they'll send a man over to take care of her, and then that relationship develops. And I've seen that in my own family. Like I know that there's a lot of these covert contracts that they pull off that men don't explicitly know or talk about, but they do exist.
Yeah. Now the thing is when Rose went down there and found out that the mother had died, Rose knew she was going to have to take that baby in.
Yeah.
That phone, you'll see in her face. She knew that she was going to have to bury that woman and take that baby. She knew it from then on. She knew it.
But Rose
was
adding value into Troy's life. See, that's a major difference between her or that era, compared to now, where these women literally aren't adding a damn thing on average, but they're expecting at minimum a top 5% lifestyle that they know nothing about, aside from reality TV, which is a fucking oxymoron. So they really have, as Dr. T was saying, I'm paraphrasing him, they don't know what to fucking talk about. It's warped, but they don't. They really don't. And they think something's wrong with you.
Yeah, because that's what they've been taught. Go ahead, Doc.
No, I was just agreeing. I said, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's no justification. They think it's supposed to be given because that's what they saw. But Rose, that's why I like Fences, right? There are no villains, right? Rose knew what she was getting, and guess what she did? I see an opportunity. Well, hold on to him with all my strength, right? Even when she knew that he had a baby on the way by another woman. Guess what she didn't do? Did she put him out the house?
Nope.
Okay. In other words, she could have told him, well, you need to go over there with her. She said that at first, right? But guess she rescinded that. Because guess what? What's going to happen to me when he leaves?
Yeah.
And like when he told her about having the other girl and she was pregnant, like she told Troy that in her family, like, you can't tell who's who because everybody has so much kids, like different baby fathers, stuff like that. That was probably part of the reason why she wanted to stay with him, apart from him obviously paying for everything.
And they always blame that on the men, don't they?
Yeah. And I think it's, in many ways, it's worse today because, now these women, they have the jobs and many have degrees, so they feel that their future is brighter. But I see it in my profession. That's not the case. They hit over 50, over 60. A large percentage of them, especially the black ones, something bad financially or health-wise or divorce, I'm telling you, they rarely ever have a solid plan, man. Even the ones who put money in their 401k or pensions, And I told y'all, I dealt with one last year.
Mm-hmm.
She thought she had it planned right until she saw that tax bill. She said, "Oh, but wait, all these decades I've been putting into my 401k, and I'm still being taxed like this." I said, "Yes, you got a divorce. You got proceeds. They consider this earned income. Yeah, you're getting taxed. You didn't have this type of account." And she was working at Whole Foods, mainly so she can, have health care.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yep.
And she's older. It's a wrap.
Yeah, it's part of the exchange. They don't understand the exchange.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's where they're taught, though. Yeah. That's where they're taught. That's why. I'm sure that's why Doc shows fences. Not just what Troy's going through, but the thing is how the family was actually structured and the sacrifices that they had to make. Because Rose made sacrifices just like Troy did.
Yeah, yeah.
And most people don't understand the deal.
That's life. But again, I'm an old millennial. But even in my they're just. I always say there's a black and white in my generation, man. There's small percentage of us who get it, and the rest, man, it's clowns. They're like children. Yeah. They don't get it. They really think life is supposed to be like this, like this party. Like, oh my God, I actually gotta earn this shit. Yes.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah. This is what Dr. Neal was saying, right? Okay, when he was talking about she destroyed the contract.
Yeah, I can never get to this level of nuance in my classroom about this film.
Brothers, she destroyed the contract.
Yep.
She
Dr. T.
destroyed the contract. After the demise of slavery, there was a contract that existed between black men, black women, and children. It was an agreement. It was an understanding that we would work together to survive in the face of a hostile society, in the face of white supremacy. Our relations were never perfect, but we understood that we needed each other in order to survive. And we did that throughout the age of Jim Crow. We did that up until the death of Martin Luther King Jr. But something happened. Something happened after the death of Martin Luther King Jr. White women intruded. White liberals intruded. White leftists began to place their hands within the fabric of Black society. And what did they do? They divided Black men and Black women. They created and stirred up animus, vitriol, angst, and anger between us. In the 1980s,
but the thing is, the beginning of what he said, right? It was an agreement. That's why this video is so underrated. When you compare that with what Troy did with fences, you understand.
Mm-hmm.
You understand. It was an agreement. It's a contract, right? look at just Troy and Rose, man. When she met him, when they got together, right? It was an agreement, you know. When the son was born, me and your mama worked that out. Okay, it's an agreement. I do this. I put my pay packet on the table, and you handle the family. It's an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Even
No
when
part I thought was.
even when she was not sleeping with him anymore. Okay. He still did the same thing. And what did he say when he went over to visit the other woman's house? You know, I don't mess up with the pay. I don't take any payout. I don't take anything from your house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still holding up the agreement.
Yeah, I thought that part was funny when Rose told him that I think it was the son that paid him back like $20, and then he put his pay on the table, and then he takes his $20.
Yeah. Yeah, and she told him put it on the table, you know, put it on the table with the rest of the pay. In other words, they told you there was a change in the contract between them.
Yeah.
I don't want to take it from your hands anymore.
Right.
Yeah. But it shows you how that shows you how complex the story is. But I can't tell you the number of people that said that Troy's a villain when I said I was actually going to review this.
Yeah, that's what I was saying when you started the film clip. Every time I show this, I can't get the class discussion this nuance the way we're having this discussion now, because they're so fixated on Troy being a villain, and being a problem for everybody else. That's as far as they're prepared to go.
Yeah. I was asking. So what if Troy decides, okay, he's going to remove himself from the family? Then what?
It all falls apart.
Yep. Nobody else was prepared to step into Troy's shoes. Nobody.
Bingo.
Hey, what's the proper term? Is it called the tragic in film and literature? Troy's character isn't it called the? It's something. It's tragic something.
Or somebody's a suffering hero.
You're not thinking about the tragic mulatto.
No.
Okay.
No. Like it's a character archetype. Like you got the anti-villain, the anti-hero.
Yeah.
It's the tragic something. It'll come to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I show this. I show Always Outnumbered, Always Outgunned, which is one of my favorites. I also show A Raisin in the Sun.
Yes.
And I get a lot of conversation about a lot of those, but you got to remember, man, the students that I'm teaching, they were born after, let me see, they were probably born about 2005.
Oh, okay, yeah.
These are babies.
Yeah.
These are Z's. These are Z's, yeah.
Yeah, Z's.
Yeah. So as far as they're concerned, if you played, what is that? A Boys in the Hood?
Yeah.
It might as well have come out at the same time as Spook Who Sat by the Door. Like there's no sense of history. They don't have a framework. If it's older than 5 years, they don't get it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're real. It's real hard. So for them to come to the conclusion that Troy is a villain, that's critical thinking as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, because he's he's a stern father, and stern fathers are never recognized and never appreciated until what? Until they get older. Until they're not there. Until they go like the older son, right? Like Pops is right. Okay, don't do what I do. Okay.
But it's also a female sensibility that whatever doesn't feel good must be bad.
Yeah.
Must be bad. Yeah.
If it hurts your feelings, then it's wrong.
Yeah. So the kids thought it was okay for Corey to actually disrespect his father.
Well, as far as they're concerned, they won't bring up his disrespect. They'll just bring up the fact that the father is so bad. It's like the subtext is anything people do, it's kind of acceptable.
Yeah.
Because the father has been so bad all his life.
Yeah.
So any punishment the villain gets is okay.
It's okay. And if that's how they're talking about this in class, imagine how they're acting in families.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're just like Corey. They're trained with this kind of mother outlook, this feminine outlook. and they operate with it, male and female.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because guess what? The thing is that when that phone call came in and the woman died and the baby was still alive, guess what what Corey's mother did? She went and confided in him. She could have kept her mouth shut.
Yeah. Yeah. She brought him into a contract arrangement that he didn't understand, and she knew it.
And she knew it. Yeah.
She weaponized his son.
Yes.
Out of pain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. They do that to punish you.
Yeah.
You console them, but also to punish you. They need allies against you.
Yeah.
Even why you made the agreement to actually support, be supported and keep the family going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he never took it out on her. He could have.
Yeah. I think the first time I saw the play Fences was probably about 92.
Okay.
And at that time, I was just blown away at the whole idea that you could be married and love someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent a lot of time focusing on that because when you grow up with this Walt Disney idea, that, you know, this blue pill idea that marriage is you're going to marry your soulmate and love her forever.
Mm-hmm.
It never dawned on me that you could love another person genuinely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it doesn't have to be based in hostility or frustration at your wife or none of that.
Right.
Just, you know, so that was that for me, the introduction to this whole play. That was the thing I grappled with first.
Yeah. And he said he wasn't out there looking for it.
No.
It happens. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it can happen.
And the way he described her, I was like, he's not just fucking. I was like, that's something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And basically, we knew that because Bono had spotted it from the very beginning.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he did. But he tried to explain to Bono, there's something more to this. I'm not. It's like BGS might remember this. This politician a number of years ago was caught cheating on his wife with this woman from another country. And the public got hold of the letters that he and this woman had, and they stopped reporting on it at that point, which I thought was real strange until I read the letters. And basically what you found was that you could tell in the letters how tenderly he wrote it. He actually loved this woman.
Yeah.
And they couldn't villainize him the way they wanted to as a philandering husband once you read the letters. And that's what this reminded me of, or I should say, the letters reminded me of this film because Troy wasn't the philandering, he just had to have a bunch of women, the way they traditionally narratize men.
Yeah.
You couldn't really do that if you bothered to pay attention. Because as I think it was Sauchi that said, he wasn't looking for it. He wasn't looking for it. And he wasn't trying to live this idea that black men gotta have, 4 different women, whatever the stereotype is. That wasn't what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when he had the guts to tell her about it too,
Yeah, he did.
She didn't find out.
Oh,
yeah, he told her.
Yeah.
And this is where students have a hard time. How do you, just the fact that we're going to have a nuanced conversation about a man who loved another woman that wasn't his wife.
Right.
They cannot deal with that.
No, it's outside their worldview, how they were trained.
Yeah. It ain't till you get grown and you realize, okay, I see how this can go.
If you married if somebody's married for 18 years, really after 7, really you understand that it could happen to anybody.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a lot of people can't. When I say about women, a woman cheating or people cheating, because I've seen it so much, people can't handle it. No, my wife would never cheat. My girlfriend would never cheat. Yeah. She wouldn't do it for me. Okay? The only person that actually talked about it to this degree is E. Harlan Scott, because he's actually a beautician, right?
Oh yeah.
And he talks about all the women, right? The high-end women, the married athletes and rich people, rich men, stuff like that, and the stuff that they do. But if you're alpha enough, you make enough money, you're famous enough, you got enough status, she won't do it.
Huh.
And that's
She has
still a
nothing to
big,
lose.
and that's still a large maybe, because she's gonna do a lot of plotting.
The thing is, you know, my thing is, does she care enough about you to respect you and keep it quiet, not
Yeah,
embarrass?
be discreet.
Yeah, be discreet.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it way too much. Remember, I was saying with my 3 levels of commitment about having a side chick or a girlfriend and a wife and keeping them simultaneously, and loving them both in different ways.
Yeah, in different ways. Yep.
That's Troy, right?
Yep.
You know.
Yep. If that woman still lived, that's what would have happened.
Yeah. And he sucked it up. You know, when he found out she died, you know, like Doc said, you could see his knees buckle.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about Denzel's performance, because he showed you how much Troy actually cared.
Yeah.
He didn't, you know, he which goes against this kind of dehumanized idea about black men, and you know, we don't care. And mind you, I've heard professors say this in graduate school. Black men don't care about family. They don't care about marriage. They don't care about women. I've heard graduate professors say this in class.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Bell hooks children.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which they depend on us being not human, so they try to do whatever they want.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you dehumanize someone so you don't have to treat them humanely.
Humanely, yeah.
Yeah, and you also excuse yourself from critical analysis too. You
Because
know,
you're doing the right thing.
I'm above reproach. If this person is a problem everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
So you don't have to
Nobody
look-
blames you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was just saying you don't have to look deeply into me and my behavior, because he's the problem. We all agree on that. So yeah.
Yeah, nobody blames you for crushing a cockroach. Cockroach is a problem. It had to be crushed.
Not at all. Damn.
It's one way to put it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, we don't have a lot of black films like this.
He's Haitian though, Doc. So you know.
Haitian American, you know. I was raised mostly in the South in a Haitian family. So
It is. So crushing a cockroach, that's Haitian, man.
Yeah. Take that slipper off and just snap. But no, I was gonna say, like, a lot of black film used to dig deeper into these type of dynamics, and you just don't see that anymore. Like most black films now, it would be like was that Slim and Charles? You remember that a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Where it's like popcorn and good cinematics, but no substance, right?
Right.
But I always look back to like Charles Burnett did a bunch of those people who came from the South and moved to Los Angeles, right? You had a lot of you mentioned Spook Who Sat by the Door. That was like a guerrilla project, and they examined like what were black people actually trying to do and what were their purpose, and Dr. Gigi even pointed out the Gary, Indiana Nation time, right? Like you had these directors who were actually like trying to tell their story and tell like different stories of black life in America, and that is all just gone. It's now just it's just ephemera. It's like pretty looks like Insecure, or meaningless drivel like that, Slim and whatever. And none of it actually digs into it. It's all fantasy. It might as well be Lord of the Rings for black people.
It is 92 fantasy for black women. So
yeah.
Like Insecure and The World and a couple of things something like that. Aspirational 92s, and they're living this semi-single life, and the world is an oyster and men are a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I pointed this out a couple times, like the Rutgers African American History Department and the Yale African American History Department have been on the writing squad for a lot of the black products that have come out in the past 5 years or so. Everything from like Lovecraft Country to
Oh.
Harriet Tubman movie to Woman King. Like they've all been there, and they've been seeding in these ideas that are basically, bell hookerism, and it's like ahistorical and just horribly narrated.
What is it? Intersectionality meets lean in culture, right?
Yeah.
I think it goes back to what you said a long time ago about this stuff. BGS it's about women are written to in terms of moments.
Yes.
They don't have narrative really or story. It's these moments that you're supposed to feel a certain way.
Anybody that watched Ahsoka knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, Lord.
Oh yeah.
Lord have
Oh
mercy.
yeah.
It made no sense as a storyline. It was all about moments.
Yep. Alongside the slowest lightsaber fights.
Oh my God, yes.
But at least a
Oh,
lightsaber.
just me that was doing something. Oh, like they need to redo the choreography. Good
They would have a
Lord.
lightsaber fight for no reason.
Oh man. Oh, and we ain't even talking about getting stabbed with a lightsaber and getting up and walking away.
Only women survive lightsaber fights. Okay.
Yeah. But that type of writing that you guys are describing from Rutgers and Yale's influence or whatnot, you can see it even in that, because we did a review of Lovecraft Country. We talked about that.
Yes.
It's just these moments that you're supposed to feel a certain way, but how we get from moment to moment is incoherent.
It's inconsequential.
Yeah.
Well, not even just that, but I remember Lovecraft Country displayed the Emmett Till murder, but they used a white woman as the person who was the victim. And that was a very interesting thing because it had a lot of like race and gender swapping within that story.
Yeah.
And it was the only way they could convey that to the audience, I guess. But I don't think it was to the audience, the broader audience. It was to like those 92 climber women. Like you can feel this pain for yourself because you're seeing a woman get inflicted it, but not a young black man.
Right.
There's a lot of disconnect that's going on.
Even the Till movie was about the mother.
About the mom.
Yeah, it was about the mother. Right. Yeah.
And it wasn't, because it was like, those pictures didn't just arrive by USPS. I mean, there were tons of black men along the way who ensured that they got there. Like they had, Klansmen making sure that they didn't get there, but they still got there.
It's so interesting you bring that up because I was just showing some of my students some materials around lynching, some of the images and whatnot. And it was a young, I think he's gay, but he's probably about 17, 18, freshman in my class. And he was, those images where you see hundreds of white folk around a black man who's been burned alive?
Yeah.
In those old images?
Yeah.
His response to that was, not all white people
were like that. Yeah.
And I found that because you got this young brother. He said he had never seen these pictures before, but his first response wasn't to identify with the black male that was lynched, that he would have been at that time. He identified with the white folk in the picture, and his first response was to try to defend them. And I said, and you only get there when there's been a serious cultural disconnect. You know what I mean? This, in terms of generation, in terms of media, these kids have a different relationship to history, because you didn't have to show me that but once at 17.
Yeah. I have on lynchings that big paper, that big hardcover, and like, I mean, that walks you through like the history of it.
Yeah. But
these kids are
now when Pearl said something similar, they got mad at her, even though that's the way she was taught.
Because she was taught by that Daughters of the Confederacy. Curriculum.
No, she was taught by everybody else. Okay.
Yeah, that's the curricula. That Daughters of the Confederacy, Lost Cause stuff, has just been baked in to a lot of American history.
Yeah. Or basically excusing not all white people are like that. There was just a few, and racism is really not as bad as people make it out to be, and it's been exaggerated, as she said.
Negroes were disappearing, hung, burned, tarred.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a few. It wasn't that.
That many.
The official numbers, which are undercounted, because you can go back into some of the records and you could do the count yourself and say, oh, their total is off. It's undercounted. But the official numbers, if you compare them to like what we consider police violence to be, that would be about a 9-fold increase, right? So if you're saying that's just undercounting, just double it.
30% of black males that do Jim Crow disappeared.
God damn.
30% disappeared. In fact, there used to be the old saying, man, that if you want to live to be an old black man, you got to get out of the South.
Yeah.
That's why Chris Rock's family is in New York.
Yeah.
He told that story on a podcast that like his family's from South Carolina, and one day some guys came into the house and started roughing up the women in the family.
Yeah.
His dad didn't want to, or his granddad didn't want to take it.
Yeah.
Fucked up the guy, and then they had to get next thing smoking out of South Carolina.
Yeah,
One up in Brooklyn.
And my uncle tells a similar story. So does
my grandfather too.
Well, believe it or not, the one thing that they left out of the Richard Williams story was that story. Okay?
Yep, that
Where
book was Sorry,
they sanitized that book, right? Because
Yes.
they knew that white people could not handle it. The reason he left Louisiana is because they did something, and they didn't catch him, but they caught his friend. His friend disappeared. He knew he was next. He had to leave.
It was a white boy who was pissing on him on the train tracks.
Yeah.
And so he went and made a pea shooter, or like a potato gun, and shot the white boy with it. And then they got his friend.
He got his friend. He was next.
Yep.
You know, one
And
of
he was
the
like 12.
I think somewhere around there, 12 or 13. Yeah, that sounds about right.
you know, one of the shows I'm gonna do this week is actually on this new service they're trying to do in California for finding missing black women and children. But we know
black women and children only, huh?
Yeah, only.
Okay.
And we know a couple years ago there was a major article out that said 1.5 million black men were missing.
Yes.
The kind of conversation we're having around missing, it never changed in terms of the reasons. Black men are missing, and in that article they pointed out that many of them were either incarcerated or dead. They weren't technically missing in that sense, but you know, to still see this conversation about who should get paid attention to, and to see black folk purposely trying to downplay men is interesting to see, because the reasons men are missing really have only evolved since the time periods we're talking about. But for similar reasons. So that's why we got to have these kinds of discussions, because you know, when you look at it, pretty much across race, we know the homeless are mostly men across the board. Mostly men. But in the black community especially, you know, we were half the country's homeless before the pandemic. What you think, the pandemic made it easier? It made it worse, but we only paid attention to women who were being kicked out of their apartments. We didn't pay attention to how many brothers were already on the street.
Do you think about the water bottle when you discard it after you drink?
Not at all. Not at all.
Disposable class of people.
Yeah.
When I made that video, I that's why I use that term. Okay. Yvette Carnell was saying the exact same thing without using the actual verbiage, right? Disposable class of people.
Yeah.
How do you feel? If they're missing, oh well, they're just missing. They're not here serving a need. Guess what? They need to be missing. What we need them for? Homeless and people dead. You know.
Whenever I hear, especially black women say anything like that, I always ask them, okay, how many programs and how much money do you think is being directed to black women and girls versus black boys or black men? And they're all clueless. And we're talking college graduates. And when I start rattling off at some numbers, typically they don't believe me. And then when I start tossing out sources, they don't want to hear it. Okay.
And that's
women don't like that conversation. Anything that comes to like numbers and facts and it starts in their pockets, they just I don't want to talk about it. I've heard that so many times.
That's the significance of the era we're in. Because again, just having watched the great debaters, I'm watching a time period where there was at least the facade that black men and women work together. We're in an era now where women are participating in the erasure of black men in terms of any type of acknowledgement. They're openly participating in helping to erase us so that they can be foregrounded. I mean, that's what BLM did. They took black male death and bait and switched the conversation on LGBT and women. And they did it in front of us. But I had never seen it that blatant in my entire lifetime, but that's where we are.
Yeah.
Hey, Dr. T, if you want to see it even more blatant, go on Clubhouse.
Oh Jesus.
They talk
Yeah.
open. They talk openly about it. I be in the clouds listening.
no. Straight up, I was watching the breakdown today, and I'm just gonna say the brother's name behind the wall. MOT came on and said he's happy Kevin Samuels is dead.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Not
Shout out
surprised.
to Theo. Theo walked off the panel after that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, Theo walked off the panel after that. I don't blame him.
Talking about Theo Waff?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The guy, the IT guy, yeah, he walked off the panel after that. He was because MOT was up there being a crybaby because Theo's actually helping brothers, and you know how they feel about that kind of crap.
Well, in other words, they don't get credit for helping brothers if somebody else.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is why this schizophrenic stuff keeps going around and around in this space.
Oh, speaking of which, is the master teacher response? Is that your channel?
Yeah, that's my channel.
I just found it. I was like, oh, interesting. And saw your video, MOT, the Mississippi.
Spinster, yeah. He hates being called a spinster. He's never forgiven me for it. But the thing is, it still stands.
Well, you didn't say anything wrong in the video. You never heard anything good about him, and I ain't got nothing good to report about him today.
The thing is, I understand women, I understand feminists, I understand pro-blacks and nationalists, all that kind of stuff being against this space, right? But you're in this space, okay? You've been in it for years, and the very basics you still don't understand. Why are you here?
And, shout out to Theo. He actually called him what he is, a gynocrat.
Yeah, he
He
wouldn't
kept
admit
on
it.
calling him a gynocrat, and I was like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
But
Theo's been doing it, man. I'm let's say 6 weeks into his newest course, and it's working. It's working like he planned it. Like it's. Do you remember Mr. Miyagi in the Karate Kid?
Yeah.
Wax on, wax off, hang the clothes, all that shit. And now the guy's like, oh, I get it.
I get it.
That's
That's male emotional labor, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do it because I said do it, right? That's what he said. Well, why? Don't worry about why. Just do it because I said do it. And then all of a sudden, after a while, you just the light bulb goes on, right?
Right.
And that's the way coaches teach you, right? If you teach kids how to play ball or how to fight or something like that, they have no idea why you're running these drills or doing these slides or running up and down these doing these gassers, man, or what we call line drills, okay? Until you get
first few weeks, bro, it was so slow getting started. And now the guy's like, oh, I get it. Yeah. And now they can start applying it with the research. It's he get.
But that's the way men teach, okay?
Exactly.
That's the way men care, okay? Because Theo doesn't have to do this shit, man. He makes his money. He could charge, way more money than he actually does, okay? If he, I don't know if he charges or not, but he could charge way more money, but he doesn't because he cares about black men. He wants to give back to black men.
He did 4 classes for free. And this time he charged $60 because it's going to cost him that much for the sub licenses on his Azure. Yeah. And so he's netting zero.
He's netting zero.
Yeah. Like he might be able to get a lunch. No. You know what? When we were in Atlanta, some of the brothers took him out to lunch or dinner. Yeah. And paid for his, like he's doing this out of the kindness of his heart. Yeah. And I don't know when he's going to have the next class, but I think the next conclave, he's going to do it because he has at least 3 classes going now, if not 5.
He's putting his shekels into the pot, man. That's all we can do.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And Dr. T, BGS was right. First 20 pages of that book, man.
Oh, man.
That alone.
Yeah.
I mean,
it almost brings a tear to your eye when you read the first 20 pages.
But I had to read it slow because it was just non-stop.
Wow,
I mean, I expected the book to be good, but I was like, yo, he really going in? And this is the beginning of the book.
And Dr. Dunbar is pretty stoic and non-emotional. That's what he said. He said, Doc is really going in the first 20 pages.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, man. BGS knows it had a 50,000 word limit, so I had to get it in. And I had to leave out so much just to get. I mean, I was literally at the point where I had 50,000 words exactly.
Yeah.
And so anytime I wanted to edit something or put something in, I had to take something out. It was so tight.
It's so tight. Yeah.
Was this book self-published?
No, this is through Routledge, major international press.
Yeah. TNF.
Huh?
It's an official academic press.
Right.
Yeah. I bought the physical book, man. I was like, I'm glad I did, man. Like I said, man, the first 20 pages, man. Whoever didn't read it, I'm telling y'all, man.
I appreciate it.
It's fire. It's fire. Yeah.
It's heavy, for real. It really is.
Well, thank you.
Anyway, we're a little over 4 hours, folks, and Doc, you want to put your Patreon into the chat? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever information you want to. There's only like maybe 37 people. With people that will probably actually come back in and actually view this. So, if you want to put any information out, go ahead and do it. We're like 4 hours in, so we guys to go around and take closing thoughts. How do you guys like the film and the discussion? What do you guys think?
I loved it.
Did you? Okay.
I loved it.
This is the type of stuff I like.
Okay.
So
yeah, this is good.
This is why I paid the money for the Patreon. So
Right.
no, I'm serious. You don't got all that constant red pill raging and non-subject discussions that be off the rails. So
yeah. This is one reason I actually showed it because me and Dr. T talk about this film all the time and talk about Troy and Rose and the family structure all the time. So I thought it was actually good to actually show it, and Doc actually showed up because it really shows the like I said, the contract between a man and a woman and the family structure and the resentment that the sons have against the father, even down to his death. Right, he still resented his father. Okay.
Yeah.
So she told him, okay, now Negro, he sacrificed for you.
Right.
And you don't want to be him, but you just like him because he's in you.
Yes.
you know where you created BGS?
What's that?
With this is like the video version of a study group, a set of books, like those old school conscious study groups.
Study group.
This video version.
It's patterned just like it.
Yeah.
It's patterned just like it. That's how come I never limited who can come up and talk. Okay, as long as you're respectful, the temple is open for everybody. Like my teacher used to say.
Well, I do appreciate being invited. I enjoyed the conversation. I wish I could get my classes to this point, but by the time I get them to forgive Troy, we got to move on to another subject. So.
If I'm sure I'll download it. If you want a copy of this, Doc, I'll send it to you.
Hey, Dr. T, does this mean everybody here get an A in your class?
Niggas always want a grade, ain't that a bitch?
Yeah. And I'll take a silver star.
But I left my my email in the private chat because I want to connect up with Sauchi about something.
Okay.
Because BGS was telling me that Sauchi had said something similar to what I was talking about before about women getting to a point where where they felt like what was it? How did you describe it? They were losing themselves. And BGS was telling me, Sauchi said that. So yeah, I got to talk to him. I've been there. And I may want to do a show on it, but oh yeah, man, I've been there especially with 92s. I've been there 4 or 5 times. I had to quit.
Yeah. I feel like I'm
yeah. Oh yeah. They'll tell you, and it almost. I thought it was a script that they were handing to each other because it was almost word for word the same thing.
Yeah.
I've never felt so protected, and I feel so feminine. And oh my God, I've never been treated like this. But I'm losing myself, and then you break up, and then they keep tabs on you for every year. They look out to see if you with somebody, and it's like, well, what the fuck,
Yeah.
which is called Renter 92.
Oh my God.
Charge them the next time. You want this experience? Come over. Bring some money. Bring dinner.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I started to really notice this is larger than a one-on-one woman thing. This is
Yeah.
a programming issue.
It is.
These women have the same programming, and I keep having to control alt delete these chicks, and it still doesn't work. So I'm just like, that's when I really started to wonder what this was, and I ran into the manosphere not long after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and it's the way they've been programmed. Like a computer turning on and going blue screen. In the program, it's like a Gates said, it's a feature, not a bug. Okay.
It's a feature, not a bug. Absolutely. So Salchi, I put my email in the private chat. I want to holler at you, man.
Yes, sir. I got it. Thank you.
All right. But I appreciate the invite, brother.
All right. Closing thoughts, folks, so we can get out of here.
I got one that's an unpopular opinion or interpretation of the movie.
Go ahead.
Again, obviously, you can see a lot of the tragic and sadness throughout the movie, but in a way, the way I kind of see it is, I almost see it as a success story. What I mean by that is, you look at the story and it looks bad, but we're looking at it from Troy's perspective compared to what, he didn't have a mother, and obviously his father was abusive, and he left home at 14. What was the likelihood of his life at that point, right?
You did 15 years in prison, so.
Yeah, and so I would say in those different aspects of itself, abusive father to pretty much being on his own, and then to being in prison, those three things alone, he could have been dead. And then he was able to come out of those things and still make something out of it, like his boy Bo said, put one foot in front of the other and keep moving. And then, later in the dialogue was he gave more than he could take, or he meant more than he was bad. And, even though his relationship wasn't as good as you would want from a father, he had some type of relationship with his children, better than his father had. And he never seen a modeled relationship or marriage.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, Wing, the fathers back then in the 50s, 60s, and 70s were just like Troy, more than not. Yeah. Exactly like him.
Yeah.
He was typical. But go ahead.
And I would say his children too, at the end of the story till his death, at least they knew each other. At least from what we've seen the story, all his kids knew each other and they were there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
From his father, again, they had 11 kids. He never even went back to attempt to even see what happened. So comparatively speaking, from his own point of view, his life was better lived, and he gave more to his children than what he had coming up.
And Rose, that's why Rose picked him, because he was going to give her a better life than she would have had. And her family was exactly like his was, right? Everybody all mixed up. Nobody has the same last name or the same two parents and shit like that. She didn't want that. That's why she was upset. Yeah.
And for him to be able, again, I know brothers now, if they go to prison, get locked up, that's the end of their life. Even if they come out, they're strung out, they homeless or whatever. For him to come out, have a job, be able to take care of a family, and then again, make sure they were all taken care of in and of itself. Even back then, when you're dealing with that kind of racism and there's not really job availability like that, that's just, again, if I put it contextually to the time frame, I look at it as a success story, even though he had his trials and tribulations and it wasn't ideal.
Yeah. He sacrificed for his family, even down to the last day. Yeah.
And he went down swinging.
He went down swinging. John Henry. So I can't take Doc nowhere.
He did. He did. Got to give it to him. He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, great stream and great discussion.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go because I'm bored for some reason. Appreciate the space, appreciate the time. As usual, this was this definitely was a good analysis on, how things work and excuse me, how things have transitioned. I mean, I don't know how long it's gonna take before things get better, but we'll see.
Well, the thing is, there's a book called I think it's called the Two Parent Advantage, some shit like that. They're trying to swing this whole society back in another direction, back to the two parent household. So there's money that's probably going to be applied to that, but we have to see. It takes time. In other words, this feminism individual society has failed. We have to do something else because it's not working. But how do you deconstruct this stuff and actually rebuild what you actually tore up? It's gonna take time.
Yeah, getting men back to marrying again is gonna be hard business.
Yeah, you heard them so much, man. You heard them so much that they it's gonna be hard to convince the young men to actually go back to the old ways.
Yeah. You got to change policies. We'll see if they're willing to do it.
I think they're starting to. I think they're studying your 17-point agenda, sir. So that dude, but people don't believe it. I think they're studying it.
Hello, yeah, we are.
Okay, jump in.
Sorry. Yeah. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
I just had a quick question. Earlier, you mentioned I had to leave and you came back because I just got off work and got home. But so Rose, you had mentioned that one of the biggest issues is that women don't know themselves, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to know if maybe you had some insight, because I seem to find that the question almost seems like women are not able right now to, I don't know, reconcile.
No, self-reflect. I think that's probably a better word.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think I was wanting to ask, like, I think women are dealing with the fact that we're not able to really also accept the fact that we're just like the lesser of the two sexes. A lot of us are.
It's not that you have a different role. It's not the lesser of. We have a different role, and you've been taught that your role as a woman, as a mother, as a female is not equivalent to a man's. You've been taught that. It's never been true. But the only acceptable behavior or goal should be a male goal: making money, working hard, taking care of a family, being a hero, getting into a fight. All the things that are male centric. You're taught those are actually more worthy than what women actually normally do. That's the problem. And so if you're a woman, if you're just a woman, you're a failure, right? That's what you've been taught, right?
Yeah, because it almost kind of seems like all of that, the womanly stuff, it just doesn't seem to have the same value.
To whom? Men don't say that, do they?
No.
Correctamundo.
So in other words, men are not saying that all the things that men ask for, you being a mother, you being feminine, you being understanding, you taking care of a house, all the things that they want, okay, they value. But who doesn't value that stuff?
Women don't.
Women don't, right? Why?
That's the big question. I don't know why we don't value those things, but.
And so you put into competition with your helpmate, right? With the man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until they couldn't put them in his place, right? Now you have to be Troy. Like, how would you feel going to work for 40, 60 hours a week, coming home and put your pay on the table and let your husband handle it? How would you feel?
I don't know. I think I would feel a little disdain for that.
Why?
It just doesn't seem natural.
Yeah, but you saw him do it for 25 years with Rose, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's perfectly acceptable for him to do it, right? Why?
I guess that's because that's the expected, function that he's supposed to perform.
Yeah, but you don't have a disdain for it, do you?
No.
But if you want to stand in Troy's shoes and be superior to him, right? Make more money, take care of the family, and the husband would be subordinate. Rose was not subordinate, was she? In that family?
No, because she was definitely like, I don't know how you would say getting him told, I guess, on certain things.
Sometimes she would, right? But
Yeah.
she ran the family, right? Okay. She ran the family. That was her job, to run the family. And he respected her job as running the family. Okay. It wasn't he was over her or vice versa. They what did she say? They accepted that role. She poured herself into him and making him better, right? And vice versa. That was the contract. But the thing is, do you want to be Troy?
No.
Why?
Because that sounds like it sucks. His job sucks. His whole relationships were terrible. Like, people did not treat him nicely or kindly or with any type of mercy or compassion.
So, but that's the job, right?
Yeah.
And he did it. Why did he think he did it?
Because he felt it was his obligation and his responsibility to.
And that's how he showed love and caring to his what?
To his family.
To his family. Okay. So if you have to take on that role, could you do what Troy did?
No.
But the thing is, that's what you work for, right? You taught that everything a man does is more valuable than what a woman does. Was what Troy did more valuable than what Rose did?
I mean, I think so, yeah, because he's the one who kept the whole family together.
Did Troy see it that way?
I don't think he did.
No, he did. He thought her role was just as important. Even down to when he had a baby by somebody else, he needed. What did he say? She needs a mother.
Yep.
Okay. He was willing to sacrifice himself so that his daughter would have the same thing that his son had, which is a mother, right? He was willing to take that on.
I guess we just don't see, the traditional female roles from the way that men do, and so we don't value them the same way. Okay,
so okay, if you don't value it, take. In other words, if you value Troy's spot, stand in Troy's spot or stand in that provider role spot and do what the provider role is, right? That's the job. Okay. Could you swap places? If you were Rose, could you swap places with Troy?
No, I don't think that would work.
Why?
Because thinking about the amount of hours that he worked, the stuff that he had to deal with, managing the son.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's the job, right? Did you think he liked it?
No.
Okay, but that's the job, right? So in other words, if you had to choose which role to take, which one would you take?
I would take Rose's.
Why?
Because it's easier.
In some ways, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mean easy. I mean as in like it just is more naturally fitting.
Yeah, more naturally fitting, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing is, why do young women? That's why I showed the film, right? So why do young women think that Rose's contribution was less important than Troy's, and it wasn't?
I don't know if it's just like conditioning, but I don't know. Like it's, I don't know. I don't have any.
And this is what's going on right now. I have like 5 books written by 5 feminists, well-known feminists, right? Second wave feminists, right? With what they call the richer sex and breadwinning females, right? They all have the same problem. They can't do it the way a man does it, even though they're put in a man's position. They don't want to do it. Doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel natural. And a lot of them, if you listen to Susan Vinker, a lot of women actually giving up their spots and going back to the traditional roles because when they get it, especially when they have a child, right? Okay, I want to be a mother. I want to stay home, take care of the kid. I want to connect with my child, right? I don't want to be a man. I don't want to. I value being a mother in a mother's role and all cooking, baking, taking care of the family. They value it now. Because that's the way the system has worked for 100,000 years. Well, we're going to flip it on its head and thinking that men and women are exactly the same, and they're not. You're saying it right now. You're not the same as a man. Your expectation is a lifestyle is not the same as a man. You couldn't sacrifice the way Troy did. You couldn't as a black woman, as a black woman or a black man, you could not take full pay, put it on the table at the end of a Friday after working 40, 50 hours a week and let her manage it. And you get your allowance back. Even though that's the deal. That women don't understand men. That's because they don't understand themselves. Even when I pointed out when the other woman died. Now he told her about the other woman. She accepted the deal. And then when the woman died, she knew that Troy loved this woman. And she was mad